Hello friends! Today I wanted to bring you into my office with me where I figured we could do some product research together. I wanted to walk you through step by step on how I find my SEO. So my keywords to optimize the titles, tags, and descriptions of my listings for search on Etsy. And last, I figured we could really pull it all together by creating a design based on our product research that we find. So let's head up to my office. Welcome to my office. So, fun fact, up until about a week ago, my print on demand business was run completely on an iPad. I didn't own a laptop or a computer. And I just wanted to share that because if you're hesitant to get started because you don't feel like you have what you need, you do not need anything crazy to start an Etsy and print on demand business. You can absolutely work with what you have. However, as you can see, I recently did a little upgrade for myself. I wanted to share with you guys the real star of the show is this desk that I got. I recently got a standing desk. And so the brand of it is Flexi Spot. It's found on Amazon. And let me tell you, I have been wanting a standing desk for quite some time. I wanted the flexibility to go from sitting to standing and really just be able to move my body throughout the day. And let me tell you, if you work from home or use a home office in any way, I highly recommend getting a standing desk. The usual aches and pains that I would get before from working just for a long period of time, they've diminished significantly. I am so much more comfortable and it's really been helping with just my overall productivity and motivation. So with that being said, I am going to raise her up before I dive into our research for today's video. So what's really cool is I was able to program my presets for my preferred sitting and standing. And then of course I can just hit the up and down arrow to adjust the height of the desk if I need to make any adjustments as I'm sitting or standing. On the far right, there's a child lock button. And this space I share with my 4-year-old. So being able to lock the desk in place has been great so that I don't have to worry about him tapping a button, bumping into a button, and the desk moving. Again, the brand is FlexiSpot. I'll put a link to it in the description below. Okay, so now that we're situated, what I have gone ahead and done is I pulled up Erank. So what I specifically like to do for my process of finding keywords and doing my research, I like to start by thinking about what is upcoming that is going to be selling or in demand in the next couple weeks or months. And that's going to drive the direction that I'm heading with my research. So as I'm filming this, we're in the end of June. And so something big that I know that's going to be upcoming is back to school. So the teacher niche is a super popular niche on Etsy, and there is a lot of saturation. However, we're going to take a unique approach and see if we can maybe find something more unique and specific within the teacher niche, which is what I always recommend doing, as well as I want to look and see if there is maybe a different product type that we could venture into. So what I'm going to do is actually just start by looking up a generic term such as teacher. And I'm going to go ahead and search. And so what's really cool about Erank is what you see at the very top here is just some statistics on that specific keyword that I just typed in. So we can see that the word teacher has over 20,000 average searches, and this is monthly. We can see how many clicks are happening within that keyword, the CTR, which means the click-through rate. We can see that as well. So how many people are clicking through the products with that specific keyword, clicking into the thumbnail, looking at the other photos. And then last, we can see the competition. In our ideal world, we would have a high search and a low competition. Those are what I call our unicorn keywords. If you can find something that's really high search and significantly low competition, that is something that you definitely want to try to hone in on. Disclaimer, we want to make sure that we are checking our trademarks. Sometimes you will find keywords that have a really high search and super low competition. And the reason is because that word or phrase is trademarked. So there might be a lot of people looking for it. However, there's not a lot of competition because those listings are probably getting removed and reported because they're trademarked. So just a little disclaimer, make sure that, you might see a unicorn on here with the high search, low competition. Make sure you're still doing your research, your safety check, I'll call it, to make sure that you're not getting yourself into trouble with a potentially trademarked phrase. So as I scroll down through Erank, honestly, I'm going to just walk you through where my eyeballs go to first. I usually just focus on a couple things, and this process is usually really quick for me. I don't spend more than 30 minutes finding my SEO for a specific niche that I'm trying to get into. It doesn't take me a lot of time, and that's why I'm going to just walk you through my step-by-step process so that you can maybe save time and try this with your future listings. Typically, what I'm going to look at here is I'm going to look at these tags off to the far left, and then I'm going to look at the average searches. So again, we want to find keywords or these different tags that have a high search volume. That means people are typing it in the Etsy search bar at the top and looking for things with this phrase. Now, the next thing that I look at is I actually jump over to competition. So generally what my eyeballs are going to be looking for is green and green. I want to find, again, high search, low competition. And then the last thing that I actually like to look at here, which I don't know if many people actually pay attention to this, is the search trend. So for example, with this keyword right here, with teacher appreciation, if we look at the search trend, we can actually see how that term has been searched for over the last year, when it was the most popular, when it started to maybe have a spike. So for example, with this one, we can see in March of 2022, it had nearly 4,000 searches. In April of 2022, it had over 20,000 searches. So with teacher appreciation, it definitely has a big spike in April, and then still a ton of searches here in May, but then it really just tapers off. There's another little boost in July. However, if we think about that keyword, it kind of makes sense, right? There's teachers that are ending their school year, and so parents might be wanting to get a teacher appreciation gift as an end of school year gift for their child's teacher. And then if we think about July and even August, maybe starting the school year with a teacher appreciation gift for their new upcoming teacher. If we keep looking though, what's really nice to see is what is currently happening with this keyword, and is this trend reoccurring? Is it going to just be a one and done? Maybe we only have searches in that one time frame, and then sometimes you'll see where a keyword just dies off and it never really becomes popular again. What I look at on the far right here is we can see, okay, again, in April of this year of 2023, those searches popped right back up again. So this might be something that we put on our calendar and we think, okay, teacher appreciation time really hits its peak in April of every single year. So that might tell me to make a mental note that I'm going to want to list teacher appreciation type items maybe in February so that they are up, they're ready for when those masses come in April. I can also see the most recent month and the searches for it. So like I mentioned earlier, I'm filming this in June. And so for the last month, May, that's all I can see up to, but I can see that it still had over 8,000 searches. So I like to pay attention to that because sometimes you might find a keyword that on average, the search volume isn't really high. Like this word example, teacher, thank you. We can see that the average searches, it actually looks pretty low. However, if we look over to the far right here, in May, it was actually over 2,000 searches. So it generally doesn't have a ton of searches, or it hasn't in the last year. However, it's recently increased. So we could identify something like that and find a new hot keyword that we could use with a listing. Of course, we still want to be mindful of the competition as well. However, this is significantly lower than our example with teacher appreciation. And with Erank, this competition is going to be relative to the search. Because the search looks so low right here, that's why the competition is still red. And because of that, it makes it seem like it's really competitive to rank for that because there's not a lot of people searching for it. Hopefully that makes sense. So what I'm going to continue doing is just scrolling down through, and I'm going to just see if anything stands out to me as I work my way through this list. So here's an example that sticks out to me. So I see teacher planner. We can see that there is nearly 4,000 searches and the competition is a little over 33,000. So that is a lower competition keyword that is getting a lot of search volume. So that might be something that you could potentially target. I know a lot of people are getting into digital downloads and selling digital files on Etsy. A teacher planner could be a great example. So if I keep scrolling, see if there's anything else that stands out. Okay, so this stands out to me as well. So teacher tote bag. So again, 2,500 searches, 32,000 competition on Etsy, other listings using this specific word, and looking at the search volume, the search trend off to the right, I can see that that's actually increased quite a bit. So in April, that really spiked up. Maybe people were thinking about doing a teacher tote bag as a teacher appreciation gift. That could be a great little cute, inexpensive gift to give to a teacher. So I am going to really hone in actually on this teacher tote bag example because I think that this has a lot of potential and we can probably make this a lot more specific, maybe honing in on a specific type of teacher or something like that. Okay, so what I have done is I actually just changed up my screen a little bit and I brought over how I like to track my keywords. So I like to kind of put them in this chart form and I base my placement of the term based off of its search volume and its competition. So if we look at this graph I have my search volume at the top. Low search volume keywords would stay towards the left and high volume search keywords would come off to the right. And then the competition side of it, if it is high competition, it's going to come down here towards the bottom. And if it's low competition, it's going to come up here towards the top. Typically, what we are looking for, and what I have highlighted right here, this is the target area for our keywords. We really want to have keywords that are that high search volume, low competition, which is going to fit us up into this corner. What we want to avoid is our keywords that are low search volume and high competition, which would be down in this bottom corner, because they're just really not going to do much for our listing. It's not going to really get our product seen, and it's kind of just a waste of characters that we could probably put better search terms or keywords in for. With that being said, I really do want to target that teacher tote bag keyword. And so I'm going to go ahead and just type that in. Teacher tote bag. And I am going to put that probably right about here. You know, it's not a perfect science, but it was relatively high search and the competition isn't super low. However, it's not super high either. So I like that keyword. I'm going to put that there and I am going to go ahead and start to gather up some more keywords and add them over to my graph. And then we're going to get into our next step. Okay, so here is my final list. I feel good about the amount of words that I have here. I feel like I can work with this. I generally try to just keep going until I feel like I have enough to fill a title and tags with and maybe get a little bit creative off of the ones that I have here. However, this is going to give me the bulk of what I need for my SEO. So now that I have my keywords, now I need to do a little bit of research on design to figure out how I'm going to use these keywords to create a design for a tote bag, which we're targeting for this video. Okay, we are now on Etsy, and what I've actually done is opened up an incognito browser. If you didn't know, Etsy utilizes cookies that track what type of items you look at so that it can create a more custom experience for you or for anybody who is browsing their platform. So I want this to be completely subjective and not have any type of idea of what I'm looking for. I want to just see what comes up if somebody was new coming to Etsy and searching for something. With my list of keywords, something that really stuck out to me was specific types of teachers. 2 different types of teachers that stood out in the searches for me was history teachers and English teachers. So I want to get an idea of what types of designs are popular amongst those types of teachers, as well as I want to see what types of designs are selling on teacher tote bags currently so that I can gather inspiration from those designs, and then we'll create our own later in this video. So the first thing that I want to look up is teacher tote bags, and I just want to see what comes up. So as I'm looking through, it looks like a lot of them have personalization. So all of these have names, all of these have names. When you are looking on Etsy, it's important to know that this first row and typically every other row or every third row in this example, those are ads. So you can see that by this. Oh my goodness. You can see that by this right here. And so generally, I don't like to pay too close attention to the listings that are filling those spots because they're paying to be in that spot. I also try to avoid clicking on listings that are ads because that ultimately is using that business's ad budget, and I'm not on here to purchase their product. So I want to be mindful of that because I wouldn't want somebody, clicking into my listing that's not intending on buying it. So looking at just this first real row of what is ranking on the first page for teacher tote bags, again, we see a lot of personalization. So all of these have, minus this one, the 3 out of the 4 here have the ability to add the teacher's name. So I think that's something really important to note. It's definitely something that people come to Etsy for a lot of the time. They want something that they can personalize and really make custom for a loved one. This one isn't custom though, however, so that's to say, it doesn't have to be something that you offer personalization for. Personalization does take a little bit more time. However, I think if you have the time and you're willing to put in a little bit of work for it, it could be something really great for the growth of your Etsy store. Still scrolling, again, more customization, a lot of rainbows. Rainbows are very popular. I feel like that's always been something that's really popular amongst the teacher niche is rainbows on t-shirts and whatnot. We can see this one is a bestseller with the book with the flowers. That's super cute. Again, more rainbows. So I feel like I have a good idea of what types of things are on tote bags. And something that I want to mention is I'm not looking at these designs to take and copy or even mirror as much as I'm taking this as inspiration to see how I can stand out. I don't want to create something that looks exactly like these because why would they buy mine over these that are ranking on the first page, that are bestsellers? If we try to copy and just mirror already successful listings, we will forever be playing a chasing game. And ultimately, that's just going to lead to burnout and a unsuccessful Etsy store, in my opinion. So I'm really just looking at these listings to see what they're doing so that I can do something a little bit more unique and different and bring something of value to this search term. Okay, so I actually jumped over to Creative Fabrica, which Creative Fabrica, if you aren't familiar with it, it is a website that you can get tons of graphics, tons of fonts that you can use with your print-on-demand business. They have different types of licensing for the graphics, and they do have a full print-on-demand license for some of them on here, which means that you can use them on whatever item that you are looking to create and list. And by having the membership or subscription, or if you don't want to create an account and have a subscription, you can just purchase that graphic in itself, and that gives you those rights to use it. So I am somebody who I struggle sometimes with creativity, or at least I feel that I struggle with creativity, especially when I was first starting to create designs. That honestly took me the longest out of all of the steps. However, I have learned along the way that creativity, it's kind of like a muscle. The more you work it, the stronger it's going to get. And I find myself improving in the time that it takes me to create designs. I have found myself coming up with ideas a little bit more on my own now. However, I've always loved using Creative Fabrica because they have graphics and designs that I can use and get inspiration from. So my first thought process and kind of where my head went when thinking about the tote bags and specifically thinking about history teachers, I think of textbooks and books when I think of a history teacher. So what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to type in book lover, and I'm going to actually do some filters here. I'm going to filter for graphics because that is what I am specifically looking for here. And I'm going to go down to this special license filter, and I'm going to click print on demand. And that is going to only bring up graphics that have that full print on demand usage license, meaning I can use it on whatever item I'm looking to create. So after I clicked that filter, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and speed this up, but I'm going to scroll through here and just pick out some designs, and then I'm going to share them with you guys in just a sec. Okay, so I have gone and found 3 different graphics that I thought were really cute. And I just wanted to share a little pro tip with you really quick. So as I mentioned on the previous screen where I had clicked that special license and clicked onto the print on demand license, if you were to browse Creative Fabrica and you forgot to click that, how you can see if a graphic has that full print on demand usage license is right under the download option. We can see commercial and full POD usage allowed. So that's going to be your indicator that you can use that graphic. So I like this graphic. However, I don't think that I'm going to use it. I want to show you guys the 2 other graphics that I found that I really like that I am going to use. So the first one that I'm definitely going to use is this book travert graphic. I am going to erase the word book travert and I'm going to customize this graphic. However, I am going to use this top portion with the books and the flowers. And then the second graphic that I got was this book lover graphic. And again, I'm going to get rid of the text. I'm going to get rid of the book and the lover on the top and the bottom. I really liked the center graphic with the heart with all of the textbooks. I thought that that was really cute. I went ahead and downloaded these, and we're going to actually now jump over to Canva and create some design. Okay, so I am in Canva and I have gone ahead and opened up a blank file for 5,000 by 5,000 in Canva, and I'm going to go ahead and start customizing these designs. The first thing that I wanted to do with these is to get rid of the text, so I can actually just crop that out. That makes it super easy. Sometimes there's designs that I want to erase things that cropping it doesn't work as easy as that just did. Sometimes it's warped into some of the image, and I need to use an eraser tool. And for that, I actually use Procreate. As I mentioned earlier, I started my Etsy and print on demand business just on an iPad. And so I typically go to my iPad on Procreate and use an eraser tool. However, Canva does also have an eraser tool. So for example, I could go to Edit Photo and go to this magic eraser, and I could erase it like this as well. So I could select that whole book portion, highlight all of that, and that is going to erase that for me. So you can definitely do that on Canva as well. Now I am thinking for this, I want to put some type of cute phrase or quote that is going to kind of go in line with the niche that we're targeting, the history teacher niche, and something that would make sense or be cute on a tote bag. Okay, so I have gone ahead and created my designs. I wanted to do a little bit of personalization with one, and then one that was requiring no personalization so that it could just sell as is and not have that custom work. I actually used ChatGPT to brainstorm quotes and phrases that were related to history. And so I found this one that I thought was really cute, and it was, "You can't spell history without story." And that went perfect with this book graphic. I thought that was really cute. And then I also, for this bottom graphic with the books, I wanted to do a little bit of that personalization element. So as we saw, there were a ton of tote bags ranking on that first page that had personalization. And with the book theme, I felt with, the history teacher and also English teachers, that was something that we saw was a great keyword as well. I wanted to create a design that I felt we could target maybe multiple different types of teachers. So I figured this design, it's personalized. We can just add the teacher's name as they order it or order it for a teacher. And this could be geared towards history teachers, English teachers, a reading teacher, maybe even a librarian. I feel like this is something that could really go a couple different ways, and we could get really experimental with the SEO that we utilize for this design. So I definitely love how that turned out. And I feel like we saw a lot of script or cursive fonts on those custom designs. So I found this font that I thought was really cute for the name as well. The next step that we would want to jump to is to put these designs on a mock-up. And I'm actually going to go back to Creative Fabrica, because on Creative Fabrica, there is actually a ton of free mockups as well. If you have the subscription, you have the plan, or you could just purchase them for cheap as well if you didn't. However, I'm going to just type in tote bag mockup. And as you can see, there are a ton of mockups on here. So really great for when you're first starting out, because mockups can be expensive if you're purchasing a lot. Relatively, they're inexpensive per mockup. However, it just adds up when you're looking to buy a bunch when you first start out, depending on what type of products that you're offering. I'm going to just scroll through here and find a mockup that I like so that we can put our designs on it. Okay, so I found this tote bag mockup that I really liked. So I already went ahead and downloaded it, and this is what I'm going to now throw into Canva so that I can add my designs onto this bag so that we can list this product. Okay, so we're back in Canva. I have gotten our mockup, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually just copy this to make it super easy, and I'm going to paste it right there. I'm going to group it together just so my elements don't get all frazzled. And then I'm going to just resize it here. I want to make sure that it looks really natural on the bag. I like that. And then with tote bags, it is going to sink into the fabric a little bit. So I'm going to just reduce the transparency just a little bit. I'm going to bring it down to 90 just so it looks a little bit more natural. And then I'm going to actually duplicate this so that we can do the same thing with this design. Really quick, let me delete this. And then we're going to copy and paste. I'm going to, again, group it together just to make my life easier. Go ahead and resize this down. Get this exactly where we, oh, I feel like that looks a little crooked. There we go. I'm going to open it up just a little bit. And then I'm going to just, oh, I don't like the way, oh gosh, I am clicking all over the place. I want to just, there we go. I like that placement. Now, the last thing, again, I want to just reduce the transparency a little bit. I'm going to put it on 90. Depending on the type of product, depends on where I'm going to take the transparency to. For t-shirts, for example, I know a lot of people who do apparel, they're going to reduce that transparency as low as like 75, 80 for certain products. The idea is you just want to make it look as realistic as possible. If your mock-ups don't look realistic, it's really going to turn away a buyer. So mock-ups are really important to getting your product sales. You can have a really great design, really great SEO. However, your mock-up could turn away that potential customer. A lot of people don't put the time into their mock-ups, and what ends up happening is a customer comes across that listing, they see the mock-up, and it just doesn't look real. It looks fake, or it looks like maybe it's done really cheaply. And so it's kind of a red flag to buyers. And then the conversion rate on that listing is just going to go down, and ultimately it's not going to get seen anymore. So definitely take the time with your mock-ups. I think that's really important. It's kind of like this huge recipe. Everything that goes into it is pretty critical. However, we want to make sure that we are putting our best foot forward and getting our images looking great, because the first thing people shop with is their eyeballs. Now that we have our products on mockups, I would be ready to list this product. So that is really my process. We started with our research. We found our keywords so that we could craft up our title, tags, and descriptions. We created a design based off of the research that we did, and ultimately put it on a mock-up, which is our final step. And at this point, we would be ready to list this product. With that being said, I hope that this video was helpful. If you found value in this video, I hope that you will hit the like button and subscribe if you would like to continue following me on my journey to becoming a six-figure Etsy seller. I hope that you have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world, and I will see you in the next one.